I saw a man die today. I mean, it wasn't unlike any other day. The guy would come by on his bicycle during my 3 o'clock smoke break a few times a week. Sometimes I'd just watch him and try to figure out where the hell he was going. Sometimes he'd have a backpack, sometimes he'd have a helmet. Unfortunately, not today. This car came out of nowhere, like seriously, out of a portal or something, and it was hauling so much ass. They didn't even see the dude on the bike. You wouldn't believe what happened. It was like something right out of a movie. Well, that's actually pretty misleading. Movies seem to glorify these things, either in a hooray, the bad guy just got destroyed way, or a damn, another character in this horror movie just got slaughtered. But don't pretend you don't secretly want the rapist douchebag in the bro tank to take a dull hatchet to the face. That's why you watch those movies. So this guy gets hit by this warp speed Volvo. And if you ever saw something like that, you'll know the weirdest damn thing happens. Like somebody else dies in front of me, and my heart starts beating faster? Where's the logic in that? It's like the world has only a certain number of heartbeats available, and when this guy's heart stopped, mine picked up the slack. I know it's called the fight or flight response, but it could also be called the just saw some fucked up shit response. But the way the guy died, I think he'd suffered enough to advance to go and collect $200. This damn car hit him, probably shattering everything solid below the waist, and sent him flying through the air. And I shit you not, he landed head first onto a sharp peg on a fire hydrant. And with all that body weight slingshotting his head around, you'd better believe it did some damage. Life doesn't really prepare you for stuff like that. Life prepares you for people like the elderly, the terminally ill, the unhealthy, and maybe the poor. That way, when they pass away, you can say things like, well, at least they're in a better place now, or they're no longer suffering. And that whole better place thing, I sure as hell wished I believed in one. I mean, really, imagine it for a minute. After dying, you'd get to go to this beautiful, bright, shining place where all your dead relatives are waiting, waving at you and smiling. You'd get to float around with little wings and a golden circle above your head. But then again, there's also hell. Now, imagine the last thing you hear before you die is the loud screech of tires and crunching metal. Or in this guy's place, probably the sound of your nasal cavity getting forcibly inserted into your larynx. And I'm sure it hurt like hell. I really couldn't imagine. But it really reminds you of how remarkably fragile the human body is. People seem to forget when they're driving around 3,000-pound steel death machines that the human body is like 65% water. I mean, really, when you're coming around the outside of a high-speed turn on a road, all it takes is for somebody else that had one too many cheeseburgers and fell asleep at the wheel to drive their 8-cylinder SUV into your ribcage. Then again, I think I'd prefer that way to go versus in these third-world countries where the extremists are still playing games like, how many Allah Akbars does it take to get to the center of the infidel's neck? In the few moments he had his eyes open, I wonder what he saw. I wonder what he thought, if anything. I wonder how many people also stared up into the spacious blue skies in their last moments, or had their eyes fixed on a fluorescent light in a hospital, or gazed on at the landscape of the rocky asphalt, or watched a ladybug climb its way to the top of a blade of grass. Dying a horrible, painful death would be a pretty rough way to go. But dying a horrible, painful death with no shred of dignity left, as gawkers watch your skin turn pale, would be so much worse. I didn't really know if I should have felt bad for the guy. I mean, he obviously wasn't looking for sympathy when they covered his body in a yellow tarp. I do feel bad for the family, if there is one. It wasn't exactly clear whose fault it was. I mean, the guy driving the car was freaking out, and I would be too if I were him. Either way, this guy won't be riding his bike anymore. I won't ever make eye contact and give him a nod as he glides on by. I never knew him, aside from knowing that up until now, he was a living, breathing human with his own agenda. But now, the first housefly frantically prepares to lay its offspring. I can't even imagine dying. Well, I can imagine dying, just not being dead. Dying in any way would be a pretty rough process, I think. As for being dead, well, sometimes I think it would be just sort of like blackness or something. But even blackness is a construct of the human mind, so it can't even be that. It's just sort of like